I was coaching a young man the other day, and he had the belief that suffering would yield the results that he wanted. So we had a good reframe, and but one of the things that we kind of distilled...
Can you explain to us what he thought, how suffering would do what?
Suffering would lead to results, which I don't agree with, obviously. That's why I'm...
We just wanted to loop back around to that something that's the vibrational opposite of desire will lead to that desire. That's hard to swallow.
Yeah.
It could not be more backwards. You can't get poor enough to help poor people be prosperous or sick enough to help sick people get well. It defies everything that you know to be. Why do you think he believed it so strongly? Had he suffered himself into happiness on many occasions? Does he have the evidence to prove it? I suffered and now look at me. Nobody's got that kind of evidence. TV shows try to tell you it's like that, but that's not a vibrationally accurate television show, is it? Yeah.
So we sort of distilled the emotion that he was actually pursuing, which was fulfilledness and meaning and purpose.
A lot of people want to justify their experience through pain. It's not exactly like that. It's like this. I am miserable is the stance, and I'm trying to explain my misery through suffering. It's so important to me that I be right, that I'm a sufferer and that I'm a victim, that I keep holding myself in that so that the evidence is there for everyone to see. You can't deny this evidence. It's like that. It stems from people wanting to be right rather than happy. That's the hurdle that you want to help them overcome. Would you rather be right or feel good? And a lot of people would say right. No matter what, they'd rather be right. So then you got to convince them, you're always right. You're getting what you're right about. If you believe that suffering is necessary, then you're going to suffer. But it's not because it's necessary. It's because you're creating it. Would you like to create something different? Like happiness?
But that got me thinking about the feeling of fulfillment, because I feel like people come at that from different angles.
Also, wait just a second, because you might be onto something. Let's play with this. So if satisfaction comes from only one place, having an intention and moving in the direction of it, then if your intention is to suffer in order to prove to people who believe in suffering that you're a good person, then maybe there could be some satisfaction in suffering. Ooh, we stepped into something tricky, didn't we?
This is what I wanted to know where on the emotional scale that kind of landed, that sense of fulfillment, purpose, and meaning, because I don't feel like that's been...
It fits where justification is. Is that on there? Blame.
So you would say that somebody that feels like they have a strong sense of purpose would fall in the same vibration as blame?
If their sense of purpose is to prove that life is hard and that it's supposed to be, if they've been convinced by what they've witnessed that life is hard, and so they've accepted that life is hard, and they've accepted so many of the religious leanings that say suffering is proof of worthiness or rightness, which is what they want. If they want so much to be right, some people could get some sort of satisfaction in holding thoughts like that. That is a vibrationally accurate trend. But their inner being isn't helping them in that. So every time they try to find that certainty of that rightness in that, and they suffer, the suffering is evidence that they're in a vibrational frequency that their inner being is not. So unless they can understand the wholeness of themselves, then they're not going to be able to easily make sense of that. You maybe could lead someone like that to... Have you played sports? Are you an athlete at all? Do you know what it feels like?
That was actually the analogy we were using, because he plays rugby. And
what it feels like to be in that zone, what it feels like to get tuned in when the whole of you is in there and you have insights and clarity. There's no victimhood in that. There's no suffering in that. That's the opposite end of that. That's the way we would call them to their true knowing. Yeah.
And that was kind of what I was getting at too with him. I'm like, I felt that rather than suffering, I wanted him to reframe it as commitment.
It's not that he wants suffering so much as that what he wants is attention. And in the world that's trying to fix things, in other words, if you really want attention, just limp around a little bit. Just act like a victim. People will just flock to you. Jerry used to say somebody would get in the hot seat and they would explain something they were dealing with, and then on the segment of refreshment, people would just rush to them to fix them. It's sort of like that. People want to be of help to one another. This is an interesting conversation. This is a new consideration, so let's shore it up here just a little bit and make sure that everything that is happening here is vibrationally accurate. So, satisfaction, which is feeling good and being in alignment with my inner being, comes from having a desire or an intention and moving toward it. So, is it possible, Abraham, that a person could not be trying to align with their inner being because they don't even know such thing really exists, but they are seeking attention from the masses? They're not looking for alignment with source. They're looking for attention and ratings and clicks and likes from the masses. And so if most people like that and I be like that, then I can find some satisfaction in that. For sure. A big part of the world operates like that. Kids learn it early on. Whine and complain a little bit and mommy will usually give you what you want. But when it comes right down to it, there's no satisfaction like being in alignment with your inner being, even if you don't even know that you have an inner being. That's really not sustainable. That just leads to one therapy session after another. So it's what we've been talking about a lot when we're all together, isn't it? That really what you're wanting to do as a teacher or a mentor or an uplifter is to help someone find their own guidance system into their own clarity and strength and stability. Sometimes people used to say to us early on, it doesn't come up so much anymore. They used to say, in fact, our friend said it, our author friend said it a little bit today. And it goes like this. People don't like that woo-woo stuff, Abraham. And so I don't want to talk to them about the real inner stuff because it's off-putting to people that don't want to hear it. And we say, we get that because people are ready or they're not. But this we say for sure. If you as a teacher are not willing to introduce to your student or whoever you are interacting with the knowing that they are more than this physical body and that there is a larger part of them that exists in non-physical, that is pure positive love energy, and that part of them is pulsing and vibrating and focused upon them all the time, so that they come to understand that when they feel bad, it's because they're not thinking like the whole of them thinks, then you cannot introduce them to their own guidance. And then they're always going to be looking for somebody to follow, which means they're not ever going to really find their own power or their own strength or their own clarity. It's kind of a bullet you've got to bite with people if you really want to uplift them, to empower them. A lot of people don't want to empower. In other words, they want people to just keep coming to them. I've got the answers. Don't think too much for yourself. If you get in a jam, come on over here and I'll give you the answer. They keep coming because they want answers, but they never really make any headway. It's really the hard way to go. That's why little kids really don't want to listen to their teachers or their parents very much. They want to figure it out on their own. They're born knowing that they have the capacity to guide themselves. Yeah.
So I just wrote it down because I feel like we're kind of splitting satisfaction into two now, where there's efforted satisfaction, which is what we're kind of talking about, where it's like we can kind of force it, or
refine
effort,
it.
Or yes, Abraham, or effortless satisfaction, which is when you're with source.
And an easier way to say it is there's two ends of the stick.
Yes.
So are you on the end of the stick where your inner being is, so you're inspired, or are you on the end of the stick where you've got a problem, so you're trying to motivate yourself? It's the difference between motivation and inspiration. It's the difference between being called. But here's the reason it's tricky, and we really appreciate this conversation. The law of attraction is going to call you to whatever's dominant in you in any moment in time. The law of attraction will call you right away from your inner being if you get focused hard enough and strong enough on those kinds of things. That really irritated Esther when she first began to realize that the law of attraction brings more of what you're thinking about to you. The law of attraction isn't like your inner being who knows you don't really mean it and so doesn't bring it to you. In other words, your inner being just will not focus negatively on your behalf, but a lot of other people will. My mother always told me I was rotten, and they told me I'd never amount to anything, and nobody in our family ever had anything good that happened to them, and life is hard, and you think you're special, and it's not supposed to be good for all of us, and we just got to suffer and persevere. And after a while, you hear that, and you begin to believe it, and then when you see people thriving, you think, what's the deal? That's injustice. That's not fair. And then instead of embracing that, you resent them. They're doing something devious. They're thriving and happy and prosperous. They should be suffering like the rest of us, because true righteous people suffer. There's a long stream of thoughts that go that way.
Well, I think this is in Esther's knowledge bank, so if not, I'll try to explain it. But Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, I feel kind of encourages this behavior of trials and tribulations in order to get to the reward.
Because contrast is helpful, and sometimes you can't even know what you want until you know what you don't want. Esther was packing everything up and moving everything back to Texas. Not because she really wanted to, but because it seemed practical. She was on the practical end of the stick, not the wanted end of the stick. But her inner being is always working on the wanted end of the stick, always working on the wanted end of the stick. And for somebody like Esther, who's happy almost always, the wanted end of the stick always wins. But that's Esther, and that's those like Esther, that's those like you who care about feeling good. But if you've been practicing suffering, if you're wanting to be good rather than feel good, if you're wanting to be right rather than feel good, we can see how it's confusing to people, can't you?